Good evening, everybody, every TF2 fan out there. Welcome back to ETF2L Summer Season 2023 Sixes. I don't know, it's Season 45, I want to say. We've lost track of numbers ages ago, so let's just pretend that doesn't matter. Anyway, it's the match between Swift and Virtus Brah. I am Cerny, joined by good old Doctor underscore on the camera, and good old Dave on the microphone. How's it going, bud?
It's going pretty well. Enjoying the new update. You know, the guys who said it was coming today couldn't be wrong 25 days in a row, so eventually it came out. And here we are. It's fun stuff. You played any of the new maps, Cerny?
I have. Today was the first time I booted up the game, so I have not yet. No.
I think you like the seal one. The seal one's funny. You get to feed a seal.
I've heard about that. A lot of people talking about that one, considering that like 4 of the maps were broken on launch. But like it wouldn't be a TF2 update if everything worked like immediately on launch. So
exactly.
We need to keep up traditions even 16 years later. That something has to break as soon as the TF2 update comes out. Anyway, the update shouldn't have any bearing on this match, considering they did nothing to the game bounce-wise. You'd think, at least.
Hopefully. They might have broken some things. You never know with Valve.
They love doing that. They're huge fans of it.
Yeah, it's like how many maps are added to the game versus how many of our fixes are broken on every update. That's the trade-off.
Well, you want to talk about these teams a little bit, because, in my opinion, just as a completely uneducated observer, I feel like this could actually be a pretty interesting matchup.
Yeah, it should be pretty close. I got to cast both of these teams last week. We got Swift, who they did win at the end of the day against Wheelchair last week, but it wasn't. I mean, it was not a convincing win whatsoever. They kind of stole a last-second Snake Water game, and to be honest, both of the games they were sat on their own last for long periods of time against what we think of maybe one of the weakest teams in Prem. But at the end of the day, they did get the win. They did get 4 points. So they certainly proved that they do have some resolve. They had solid holds. So they've got some stuff going for them. But they're probably looking for hopefully a more exciting game and maybe a bit of a step up, because they do have some big names such as AMS and obviously Mac, of course, former Prem winner.
Yeah, but then rejoining his friends on Swift, for that matter, after a 1-season absence. He's just decided, yeah, let's go back to my old friends, aka, I mean, who remains of that old team? Danny, Pandemic, and Sneaky, right? So the 3 of them, that core, they meet up again. That certainly has some bearings on their performance as well, I would argue.
Yeah, there's a few new teams, a few new changes to the team, I guess. On the side of Virtus, they had an interesting game against the Frenchies. They definitely made it a good contest, but I was casting it with Josh, and there were times that Josh was just absolutely moulding, especially at Kuna. Like Kuna walking through like Granary flank alone as a demo man, getting caught behind multiple times on Granary as well. Yeah, Josh was not too happy about that kind of gameplay. So I definitely give them a chance here tonight. I think this is likely to be a fairly close game. I think in terms of playstyle, we're probably going to see like this more kind of spicy, inventive TF2 coming from VB, and then Swift I'm expecting to be a bit more solid and maybe just kind of outsmart them, outplay them overall.
I mean, yeah, they have like a very methodical core, you could say, with like AMS and Mac, right? They obviously like highly talented, highly long-time players as well. They have an absolute like plethora of experience under their belts. So they can, like, steer the team however they like, even if AMS is, as I would assume he's on the flank, unless Danny has switched over to being roamer with this new roster. So I suppose, we'll have to see how that pans out. But yeah, if they're going to be as passive as you said they were last week, then I would not be surprised to see Virtus Brah be the team that, again, might be in control for a little while. They might be in control for at least a while. But once Swift warms up, I'm hoping to see something going there. I suppose we'll have to see. If you'd have to make a prediction before they get started on Gullywash here, not Gullywash. It is Gullywash. I'm starting to get a little twisted. What would the scoreline be at the end of this? What do you think?
I'm going 2-1 Swift on this map.
All right. So it's going to be a slow, close one, but Swift will take it at the end. Fair enough. I
Yeah,
can't
it's
disagree.
probably what I'm leaning towards.
I can't disagree. That seems like a sound choice. I suppose we'll have to see how warmed up they are, how keen they are to get going, as both teams have readied up and are trying to make their way into this first little round straight away. They're only 7 minutes, 8 minutes behind schedule. That's surprisingly quick for Prem players. So I suppose we'll see how quickly they can actually make something happen on these mid-fights. Gullywash is a mid you want to play aggressively first out the gate, and it looks like that's exactly what VP are going to try to do as they make their way forward. But so do Swift, and they're just swarming across the point. Fishkov has just been caught behind. He's trying to pull some players back, but ultimately, that's all he's doing. He's just being a bit of a distraction as the rest of the mid-fight goes on its merry way, and Swift are taking so much position. However, the frags are falling in favor of VB. They're finding everybody. They found literally everybody except Mac. I mean, okay, they got a traded out kill against Gel on the other side. A saving grace, perhaps, for Swift on his mid-fight, but certainly not going to give them much when they've wiped their entire team.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate there for Swift. They certainly had the right idea. I think they knew Fishkoff was going to go behind. He did that a lot last week. They probably watched some demos or watched the game from that. So they were ready for Fishkoff to go up through drop down and behind. They just wanted to get across the point, win a 6v5. But at the end of the day, the collapse came in from the VB guys. They were ready for that aggression across the point, and kind of just sandwiched their opponents. Got all the frags they need, and take the mid fight. They've come up on crits now on Gel, but apparently Dr. Underscore's telling me that Sneaky's checked the medigun, so they're probably aware that the crits is coming up. There will be a short window to use it though.
Yeah, it is going to be a tight window regardless. Joe's been building like a madman as well. That Gel def really screwed VP over and trying to get this last push as easily as possible. Now they have to work for it. High going down in water is certainly going to put a bit of a hamper on things, and Kuna can't quite get the stickies or pipes in either that he wants to those crits, so they are utterly wasted as Gel tries to escape and fails to do so, with Scar the only player remaining, maybe buying a little bit of time until his inevitable demise to Sneaky right-clicking on him. And there you go. Swift are back out of last, back on second, and can probably maybe even get onto mid here if they're fast enough. There's a few forward spawners they have to contend with, and Max certainly doesn't want to push it alone, but with the team meeting up again, they can certainly put a bit of aggression onto this midpoint, and that's exactly what they're doing. They don't really have heals to worry about either. Gel just now meeting with the team in Big Door, backing out to second, so Swift to take mid off the back of it as well.
Yeah, this is a great case of Swift playing kind of by the book very, very well. They're very prepared. They checked the minigun. They were prepared for the crit streak. There is a drop-down play from Scar. He's going to jump up now. He fails his jump. Doesn't get onto Joe. He's still in behind. I don't think they've spotted him just yet, so maybe there's another opportunity. Bombing now onto Joe. Does get the force out. Despite a little bit of a beef there, he gets what he wants at the end of the day.
A matter of fact, getting it a little bit later there might have actually been better, because now they're going to have to wait even longer to get an Uber ready again on the side of Swift, and, well, pushing out of Gully works, but it's not as easy without, you know, a significant amount of frags, so I doubt we'll see that much aggression out of VB, but they do have a bit of an ad to write home about right now, and if they're willing to utilize it, they can certainly try and take it through the top here, which is what they're trying to do. They've got a lot of players rounded up there. Swift are already well out of position to even try and hold it. Danny tries to bomb it a little bit, does a lot of damage, but does not manage to find any crucial frags here. And with him traded out, Swift have decided to just give up the ranks on second for now. Well, built their Uber, try and get back in afterwards, and well, maybe hold off this VB aggression. It's coming into mid already. Joe just now getting his Uber. He's going to be able to pop it off in time just to respond to the Olga solo train making its way forward. And unfortunately, yeah, there's not much Olga can do, so they're just going to have to run all the way back, trying to not get cut off by the Swift aggression. Coming in deep, Mams gets air shot and shut down immediately, but they find a trading frag onto Kuna and Fishkov as well. Scar gets onto the combo, but does not do any meaningful damage, and that is going to be curtains for this VB hold for the time being. Actually, it might be curtains for the whole team, as only High and Gel barely make it out to last, having to hold up against even more Swift players coming in, and yeah, this is probably over at this point. There you go.
Wow. Excellent transition there from Swift. Just building the Uber, crucially, that was the important thing on mid. Obviously, Olga wanted to take an aggressive Uber into them, ended up being a trade. They weren't sure where to leave, and they were really caught in an awkward situation. Caught on the low ground. Just Swift taking all the space on second, and they won the fight, and they just continued dominoes, getting all the frags they needed. Made it so they didn't even have to push last.
Beautifully done. Let's see if they can do a bit better on mid this time around, though, or if their momentum immediately gets stunted. They do find a nice opening frag onto Scar, trade out for Pandemic on the other side, though. Positioning so much better for Swift here as well. They find another frag onto Fishcup, who was desperately trying to just settle for any sort of frag onto Mac or anything of the sort, but it was not meant to be. Swift take mid, and well, can probably keep rolling forward, at least ever so slightly. They certainly have the numbers advantage. All of VB kind of just bunch up around the rock. Finally realizing they are being pushed from big door and kind of cut off and pincered here. They're going to have to rotate up top if they want to have a chance at really holding this. Mac does get picked off, though, a bit extended. So does Sneaky. And, well, maybe they were trying to go for some sort of just point play, sack play, maybe get the medic somehow, but it certainly did not work out, and now they have to contend with a lot of VB counter-aggression immediately coming to mid. It's actually only Pandemic and Joe making a run for it because everybody else has been dropped out of the team.
Yeah, definitely be a strange play there from Swift. Just walking in, trying to take the space. It looked like they were almost kind of like doing kind of a fake push where they try and just get the force out of Joe. But no, Joe just milked the Uber, didn't pop before he had to. They ended up with a really bad damage trade, losing their 2 key combo members, and now they're back on last.
Well, if there's one place Swift loves to be, apparently, it is their own last and holding. They love holding the point, so we'll see how well they can do it this time. It is an even situation, both teams having an Uber this time as well, so it is going to be the first opportunity for VB to see how well they can do this Uber last push, as Kuna just tries to take it in, gets the sentry, but everything else just gets reflected away. So little damage dealt to any players, I mean, besides Mac, I suppose, but he gets just saved by Joe's Uber now. They've dropped a couple of players on the side of Swift, but they've already done all the damage they could. Kuna still manages to sneak out to the point, though, out of cheese there, almost manages to actually get something done as well. The Sodas come in for some follow-up together with Olga and Gel for the heals, and it's actually working out. Pandemic, the only player left alive. Is he going to be able to hold off 3 players? Of course he won't be. And there you go, they equalize it 1-1, straight back to it.
Wow, unconventional to just go in with the trade and make it work, but they got picks on the flank away from the Uber. The Uber was milked a long time on Swift, but the problem was they ended up on off classes that couldn't chase the frags. They didn't have scouts ready to use the Uber and chase those people underneath. It was Ubered onto a pile, they didn't get any frags, and the NVB pull it back.
And they're straight back to it. We got a bit of a match in our hands here with less than 10 minutes played, already 2 rounds on the board, and we'll see how well this goes for this mid-fight. Danny's going to be first of all trading out for high on the other side. We do have a lot of soldiers just jumping all over the place, frags being traded. Joe going down crucially means Swift are in a very bad position now, trying to clutch out the rest of this fight. They are doing an okay job, though. Despite the lack of heals, they are actually doing a phenomenal job at just keeping these VB players at bay, getting them out of mid, capping that point off for themselves, and even if Gel is going to have an Uber, he's going to have to use, if he actually wants to have an appreciable amount of effort in, well, trying to get into this midpoint. Olga is going to pay with his life, and there you go. That's going to put a bit of a damper on things for VB already. Still, Swift are very ambitious if they actually want to hold on to this midpoint. They have to get an early force or just get the hell out of there, because they are going to be caught in an Uber that they do not want to be caught in. And yeah, they're hightailing out of there immediately. No risks taken. They're just going to back out a second, and they have somehow managed to, well, sneak somebody by the name of Sneaky behind, who's maybe just gonna meet Olga and pick him off, or yeah, he's gonna settle for that maybe if he can. Please don't lose this. That would be so embarrassing, Sneaky. All right. If you lose too high now, that's fine. At least you got a scout kill, while in the front lines, that's where the actual fight's happening. And well, with Mac dying, they have to give up second actually. So
yeah,
that's unfortunate.
Kuna's going underneath, going for the crazy plays. So on last, they haven't capped up second just yet. There's going to be fighting on second. Kuna's kind of stuck on last while his team isn't able to cap it up. I have to see exactly what he's able to do, but thank God Josh isn't the one casting with me tonight, because he would be apoplectic right now.
Flank demo. Kuna playing the flank demo. Oh no, he found Sneaky. Sneaky's gonna surely clean this one up. There you go. Well, at least they traded out for it, but it is so much... I was gonna say it's so much better of a fight for Swift right now, but Joe does get cleaned up in the very tail end there. High manages to sneak in, get that little frag there, crucially, keeping VB in this fight. Even if they're gonna have to give up mid again, they're gonna have a massive Uber ad to work with. So, if anything, that's something to write home about. Am's very far forward as well here in choke, but he's just gonna get picked off immediately. Way too ambitious, perhaps. Did not expect the entire team to just show up there. And now VB are going to retake mid immediately off the back of it as well, with that full Uber to go. And, well, I mean, Swift are actually kind of in a bad position here. They might even have to back out all the way to last again. Scar's already bombing in deep. Mac might just get caught if he's not careful. And he does trade out for the soldier. And Ams! Oh my god. Alright, he does the forward spawn snipe and it works. Fair enough.
That was hella clutch as well. That was super important. The bomb is now onto Joe. He goes down to below 10 health, single digits there for a second.
Oh,
and
no!
yeah, there we go. Olga runs in, jumps his way in through the choke, finishes off that really low medic. And that's exactly what they needed. High is still in behind, causing a bit of chaos. But there is starting to be a mid-cap come in from Pandemic, but might get blocked here.
Yo, Easy's gonna get pushed off all the way back to the respawn queue, matter of fact, and this point is not gonna change hands just yet. VP are gonna hang on to it, and they don't just have a bit of a player ad for second right now, they also have a bit of an Uber ad. The Uber is probably not gonna be too much to write home about, but they will be able to take second fairly easily because Swift are just in absolutely no position to try and contest that anymore whatsoever. So they have to try and hold this loss, and they have to do a better job than they did last round, especially considering they are at a bit of a disad, and Joe is certainly not building very quickly right now. Whereas on the other side, VB, they're trying to get that Uber as fast as they can, maybe actually try and make use of a bit of an ad. If they can get in here quickly enough, Swift are in deep trouble. They don't have a big defense build, they have the Uber used on side of VB already. Joe still has 10% of Uber left to go. If they can milk it for long enough, if they can kite this for long enough, they will have a chance, and they will manage to get their own Uber off on the side of Swift. Now they just have to get everybody on VB off the point. They've already taken care of the heals. So if anything, as long as Joe stays alive at the tail end of this, they will have something to actually push out with. But there's so much aggression from all sides. The free aggression from VB comes in, and they're just slowly picking off everybody on Swift and making it another round for themselves.
And just a tiny mistake there from Swift. They had the engineer up, they had the pyro up. Those are classes you want for a disadvantage last hold, but the Ubers were so close that if they'd just been building with a soldier, even a demo man with the katana, they would have got the Uber a little bit faster for sure. They didn't build optimally. They ended up dropping their demo because they didn't quite get the Uber in time, and they really paid for it.
And now they have to recover. They're going to be playing from below for the first time in this map so far, and Ams being the first one to go down, Mac going down as well as Danny and Joe. It's all falling like dominoes for Swift. They do find a couple of frags onto the enemy soldiers here. Sneaky and Pandemic trying to make the best they can. Sneaky managing to almost sneak up on the enemy combo there, but unfortunately High has decided to look behind and decide to, well, spot where this little scoundrel was hiding, and it's just another disastrous bit for Swift here. They're already on last on the side of VP as well, some aggression into lobby and all that good stuff, so it's going to be another very important last hold for Swift here if they can somehow pull it off.
Yeah, I think that struggled kind of getting across the point too early and getting crushed in those last couple of mid-fights. This time they weren't quite as aggressive across the point, but if anything, they paid even harder for their passivity. Uber's going to come in from Riverside now. They're going to get rid of the sentry gun because they're swapped up, but Mac is caught underneath. Danny goes down as well, and there's a heavy out for Sneaky, but he's taken out very quickly, and an offensive heavy as well.
Counter heavy
from Scar. The Bootis versus Bootis action, and that is all they need there.
Turns out the best way to deal with a heavy on last is to just push with your own. And they worked out beautifully for VB. That's another round on the board for them. They're starting to run away with it a little bit. I feel like Swift are letting the game slip through their hands right now. Maybe a bit of chaos going on. They gotta find their way back in this. They gotta stabilize, find some stable footing, because if this continues, we might have a game that is over in the next 2 rounds, and VB are gonna be taking home some easy points right off the bat, which would be not amazing if you're rooting for Swift. So let's see if this next mid-fight can go any differently, but they're already in such bad positions. They're getting nuked in the choke. Everybody's so low. They managed to not die, but Joe just gets cleaned up by an arrow by Gel anyway, which is such a crucial frag to get, and then have the medic be one of all people that gets it. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, because the counter aggression by Swift is enough to clean up the entire rest of VB. Beautifully done, but still not as clean as they could have done it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's worked out well for them. They needed to win that mid-fight. The mid-fights generally hadn't been going well for them, but they do take control of it. They do have quite a large Uber advantage here, actually. It's up to 30%. Scar is up on the Sneaky Man classes going through the choke now. I think he thought about decloaking there, you could tell, but thought better of it. He's just going to stay in behind. He does peek a little bit while not invisible, but he's trying to get himself into position to go for a play, but he's going to have to go fast.
Yeah, he's gonna have to go quickly because Swift are ready to mount a push to Riverside here as well, and the longer he takes to just go for anything, the worse it gets. Amps has already spotted him, so everybody's just gonna turn around, and yep, there you go. Scar has been taken care of, so that spy factor is out of the question now, and there comes the Uber out of Swift. It is a bit faster than the side of VB, so they will be able to make use of it. And it turns out nobody on VB even really wanted to step on the point to try and block, so they're just gonna let Sneaky cap that thing off immediately. Turns out there's an objective in this game, and if you just step on it, you win. So yeah, that's how that one went. That was very anticlimactic, actually.
Yeah, clearly Scar.
But they needed it.
Clearly, Scar being up on Spy left a big gaping hole underneath. No support for Kuno. Very easy frag and very easy cap time as well.
And there you go, they're bringing it back. They're still down around on the side of Swift though. They have to keep up this clean play if they want to have a chance. And Mac going down early is certainly going to throw a bit of a wrench into their mid. Matter of fact, it's only Danny and Joe left. And, well, they are about as disconnected as you can be with Joe just not going down. Danny desperately fighting for his life against Olga in the enemy's choke. And, well, struggling to say the least. Kuno's going to come in and clean up that kill. And this is not what you want to see as a Swift fan. They're already down around, and they're back on their last again already after essentially fully wiping. It is not looking good, Swift bros. It's not looking good.
That was about as bad a mid-fight as imaginable for Mac. I guess he failed the rollout. Ideally, you'd want a bit more health if you are going big door, but he just eats a ton of damage as soon as he walks in, gets killed very, very quickly. The rest of his team has no damage support, wasn't even able to get into mid, and now there's a last push here, Cerny.
It is a last push Uber by VB. They go in deep and they manage to find Mac, but that's all they settle for. They lose their own demo on the other side, and, well, they find Sneaky on the heavy, but that's about... Okay, never mind. They're finding the frags now. So suddenly Scar and High just come through from water, and above, like, Scar just rains down pain on everybody from the rim. Nobody decided to look up on the side of Swift, I guess, and just gets absolutely shellacked by Scar. So there you go. Another round for VB. And we're only one round away, potentially, from Gullywash ending already.
Yeah, just a really nice jump from Scar coming in at the end of it. And as you say, landing perfectly. They're not the easiest jump in the world, but, you know, perfect landing in perfect position and ended up converting the round of it.
So it's going to be on Swift to try and stay in this match. They have to prove themselves. They have to show that they can do it, but they lose Sneaky early. Managed to turn out for Kuna and Olga. There's a lot of collapse, actually, onto the VB combo here. For once, a Swift mid has worked out in their favor. They have only Scar to worry about, and as long as he gets just sent away to the Shadow Realm as well, they have finally won a mid out of the side of Swift, and decisively so as well.
A beautiful serve from Joe on that mid to get himself away from not only the soldier but also the enemy scouts, because he went down so low. Just a chip shot across the map would have been enough to pick him off, but both the scouts were either dead or stuck on the low ground, weren't able to finish that frag off, and now they've got the reward for it. They've got 100% Uber advantage, and it's been actually a much faster paced game, but they certainly want to get back within 1 point here.
They're gonna try their best. Uber comes in early as well. Very, very ambitious way to send players deep in water, and it works once more because for some reason VB players are allergic to touching the point ever. Even if, like bros, I maybe they don't understand this, but like even if they're Ubered players on the point, you can still try and block. You don't have to have everybody walk into spawn, but that's what they're doing, and like yeah. It's working for Swift. It's 3 rounds for Swift. So they're bringing it back to 4-3. There are still 11 minutes left, so there is anything that can happen. And as long as Swift can just stay focused on this, they actually have a chance to make it equal or even take the map as this next mid-fight goes underway. Lots of aggression onto VB already. Ooh. Mac just gets shot out of the sky. A beautiful shot by Fishcup is going to clean that one up. And with that, the rest of Swift are hightailing it out of there. At the very, very least, for once, they've decided it is time to hold S. It is time to get the hell out of there and make the most of it as they manage to pick up an overextended Olga and an overextended Fishcup. Now they have to deal with the Kuna and Gel flank, and they've realized, wait a minute, that means there's only one person on mid, which is High, so they're going to try to take him off the point. And, well, they're going to have an Uber first as well. So it's actually turning in the favor of Swift. This mid-fight is not over. Mid-fight 2.0, baby. And it is going very well for Swift so far. Scar manages to slip in, do a little bit of damage, but does not find any frags. And there you go. Swift have control of the midpoint.
Yeah, technically that's a mid-fight victory because the cap wasn't able to come in from VB before They got too far ahead of themselves, pushed into second without the cap, and now it's going to be the mid-win for Swift. They've got the forward spawns. They're looking to pressure. The big rap actually coming in through choke, just busting 6 gamers straight in. Scars hit the really, really nice rocket there. They do get the force out of Joe as well. Joe just playing on the high ground, being able to milk a little bit. Bombs coming in towards him, but they're going to have a much, much better Uber here. Pandemic's able to clean up Kuna. He wants more. He sees High and Joe in front of him. They're just going to go back, clean up the gamers behind. Olga goes down very, very quick. There's a soldier, Fishkoff, stuck in choke, but not too much else VB can do.
Yeah, they're just going to have to back out to last. Fishkoff is going to maybe try to see if he can be a bit of a nuisance, but surely Swift are aware they're already on last as well. So if anything, he's just going to come into the DM fight, but no. They just went for a little bit of a fake push, seeing if they can get something, rotate all the way back out to second, and they dealt with that whole Fishkoff problem as well, just by doing that. So there you go. They're going to try to hold second now. They still have to actually convert the round to make it equal, and then have a chance at winning again. But they have all the time in the world. If they finally want to slow down the pace of the game, now is the chance. They are in control. It's equal Ubers. They are the ones pushing last. And, well, I mean, the longer they give VB to set up a defense, the worse for them. But still, they are able to control the pace of the game ever so slightly right now. Danny going down in River is certainly going to be a bit of a problem there. And Sneaky going down as well is going to seal the deal on any sort of offense that Swift could have tried here, as VB are going to immediately re-aggress through River. Matter of fact, Olga's decided to just stay on the Pyro and make it a little bit easier for his soldiers to just do a little bit of spamming from the top side here as best as they can, with Mac raining down, or up, I guess, Hellfire. There goes Danny, traded out for Fishkoff, essentially. And it's just not looking good for Swift. They just keep feeding a player at a time sometimes, losing them, not allowing them to really aggress and take too much ground. They will be able to take lobby now, but they'll still have to wait for Danny to come back, and Mac might just get picked off if he's not careful. Matter of fact, Scar's getting in so deep, he just almost got everything for free there if they'd let him. But I think Swift are finally stabilizing, able to maybe mount a push into last year with Scar down as well. Ams is already trying to claim some ground. The sentry's been taken care of, and Sneaky has slipped into behind. Nobody's on the point, watching water once more. Sneaky gets so much cap time, and they have to use the Uber just to block. Maybe a bit ambitious. They probably didn't have to do that, but that is so much cap time, and now they have a full Uber on the side of Swift.
Yeah, a little bit of a panic pop there, but I guess he doesn't want to lose any players and lose a round instantly now. The bombs are coming in towards Joe. It doesn't hit the best serve, gets caught in the fence, does get forced out, but they might catch Olga here. They're going to have to catch some of these frags if they want to continue forward. Yeah, Olga does go down. Pandemic is in on the pipes as well. Is able to get himself out of there. Very nice movement to dodge away. And Sneaky is in as well onto the point. So much gap time from Sneaky applied so far this game, and we're back to 4-4.
Sneaky is just a professional point capper. This is what he does. His job on Last is to hold W onto the point and cap it. And for some reason, I mean, VB have their hands full that time with fighting the rest of Swift, but still, they struggle with getting that guy off the point sometimes. He's like glued to it. So we are on to match point right now. Whoever wins next wins the match. Well, they could take it to a golden cap if they so desired. As this mid-fight goes underway, the first frag is going to be Ams dying to Scar, but immediately traded out for 3 people. Mac getting a nice 2k, Olga going down as well, so it is already looking pretty bad for VB, especially with the lack of heals. Only High, Fishkoff, and Kuna, and they're kind of spread out and struggling to find grounds. I mean, they find a kill onto Mac. They're going to have to wait for these Swift players to re-aggress. Joe's in a bit of a prime position here to get fragged, and he does! Kuna and Fishkoff find the coalesced aggression to take care of that medic. A crucial final frag there to keep themselves in this round, because without that, they would have been in a bad position to try and hold.
Some classic crossbow addiction there. Both 2 players from Swift both went on really low health, sat in their own big door waiting for a bow. The rocket comes towards them, both neither of them dodge it. The soldier, it was, I think Danny got the crossbow, Mac didn't, he goes down. They do clean up at the end of the day. Now aggression into Joe, he does get caught a little bit. There's luckily a health back, keeps him alive for an extra rocket. He's able to surf his way out of there. Sneaky wants to continue, wants to go for the frag. It looks like Swift, they might have enough players. They do have better health. Going to get the clean up onto Olga and High and Kuna as well, and Joe is left alone. He's not the highest amount of health. Mac is looking to sticky him off as well. He goes in through lower, but it's not enough. Sneaky is there.
Yeah, there to cut him off has already been spotted, so Gel almost escaping, but just barely not, and that is going to be a terrible situation to be in if you are VB now, because not only does Joe have a full ad to work with, you're also trying to desperately set up some sort of last defense here. Your sentry's just on level 2, you've got Olga on the Pyro as well, but the Uber's gonna come in, and again, unless they manage to hold the point off, which it looks like they're gonna finally send some people to try and actually hold that. Are they gonna be able to? Well, Kuna's gonna get immediately destroyed by Pandemic. Mac is gonna take care of Fishcup as well. There goes Scar, the sentry's finally taken care of, but Olga at least finds one frag onto Danny, and Joe and Pandemic go down as well, so no heals. It's only Gel left though, and he won't be able to do much by himself. So there you go, Swift managed to round it out with a 5-4, the longest amount of rounds you can go. And that is in regulation time. What a fast-paced match.
Yeah, I was worried it was going to be slow-paced like the first official that we saw from Swift, but no one was caught on last for long. There wasn't much stalemating at all. I think there was like kind of one brief stalemate on last, and that was when VB went in for a trade and capped off the back of it. So neither team was messing around. It was fast-paced, it was back and forth, and once more, a great showcase of Swift's mental and their capacity to bounce back, because they were behind for long periods of that game. They were two rounds down, 1 round down. I mean, I think the standout thing for me from that game was they were a round down. There was 10 minutes left. They'd been behind most of the game. They'd been on the back foot. But just that brief moment of play where it looked like they lost the mid, but they just made a brave, aggressive play. They busted choke before that cap came in. They stopped the cap, they won the mid, and then they did that big rotation, big door, back through choke, flooded 16 through choke, just completely changed the face of the game. You know, a team that was down on its luck, a team that was broken mentally, would have just sat back, taken the second hold, would have reset, and would probably have lost the game overall. But no, they were brave, they pushed the issue, they bounced back, and they end up getting 3 points on that map.
Just a generally incredibly aggressive play. It's not a stat you can see on stream right now, but I'm just looking at it. The longest round in that match was 4.5 minutes. And that was the third round when VB went up 2-1. Like, the average round length was probably under 2 minutes for that match, which is crazy. Both teams either suck at holding last or are insanely cracked at pushing last. That's the only explanation for this. Because pretty sure every time one team ended up on last, it was usually off of wiping on mid. But then they both always just ended up on last. They couldn't really hold it well, and then they just lost immediately as soon as the push came in. There was, like, yeah, as you mentioned, it was one time when there was the refight after the push that VB won. But I'm pretty sure every other last push was just team that's pushing pushes in and caps, and that was it. So yeah, that was an insanely fast-paced game, and if anything, closely matched. I mean, this is as close as you can get a scoreline, so that's something to write home about, I guess.
Yeah, I think it sets us up well for this second map of Sunshine, and it's difficult to predict, really, which team is going to take it. I think the mid-fights are going to be important. We saw, definitely I think VB had the edge of the mid-fights the first few rounds of Gullywash. Swift had to adjust. They took them a little bit differently towards the end, and that was kind of what they needed. They needed that adjustment. They needed to find a way, because they obviously had some plans. They had some preparation for those first few mids, but it just wasn't working out for them. So, just a little bit on the fly, found, something that they weren't exactly winning mids cleanly, but it certainly went back much more in their favor. And that's probably going to be a feature of a lot of teams this season. It is going to be a lot of closely matched games, a lot of tight games that can go either way, and just finding slight adjustments, slight adjustments to last pushes is going to be the difference between a team making playoffs and not.
Yeah, I mean, we were at the start of the season before it started. I think a lot of us were saying, like, okay, Witness is pretty much the only team that stayed together in its original form from the last season. So who's going to be the one team that can try to challenge them? And then everybody was like, well, they're all shuffled together, even if they have strong players. Maybe it's just going to be a fight for, like, second place, and, like, the playoffs race is going to be close. But then Witness lost to Mandem. So if they're washed, this could actually be an interesting season at the end of the day. And I feel like every team might end up being this closely matched at the end of the season as well. If this continues, if we're seeing more close matches like this could be the most unpredictable season of Prem we've had in a long time. I feel like we're witnessing that right now. No pun intended. With just Swift and Virtus already having this close of a matchup. You'd probably think a lot of people heading into this, Swift's got this easily, but apparently they had to fight for it. And well, with us about to start, what do you think we're going to be looking here at scoreline? Is it going to be another 5-4, or are Swift just going to have like the momentum now and just run away with it?
I'm going to go 5-4 Virtus this time.
Okay. I want to make it as humanly close as possible, like as close as humanly possible. I like that. I like that. We'll see, I suppose. It is a map that plays a bit differently from Gully, so we'll see if maybe Swift come out swinging for the mids this time a little bit quicker, instead of having to, well, take like half the map time to adjust to whatever Virtus is throwing at them, I suppose. We'll see as this first mid fight goes underway, and high bombs are already coming across. Fishcup going in deep onto the enemy combo. Manages to find a frag onto Mac as well. Matter of fact, there's players being traded both sides severely, but Swift is taking a bit more of a beating at the end of the day. Pandemic and Joe managed to escape, but it is a one mid fight for Virtus nevertheless.
Yeah, I was watching Mac on that mid fight. He didn't have the most fun time just shooting some stickies across the point that immediately bombed, immediately goes down. It's not the end of the world. They do get Joe out of there. They do have relatively even Ubers. Second cap comes in for Virtus, and we'll see. It is technically a stalemate, but we'll see if they just instantly go for the trade again.
If they want to be aggressive, they've certainly been aggressive on Gully, so we'll see if they want to continue that aggression onto Sunshine. They are certainly... They're being keen to go into that top rub, but they have to deal with that sentry, and it looks like Swift have slowed down the pace ever so slightly on this last hold, trying to see what they can do, keeping that sentry alive, maybe even get it to level 3, if they so desire. And it's going to be on Virtus to try and bust this last hold somehow. It is looking to be very fortified by now, so they're going to have to find an answer for it. Olga's just going to like kind of walk in with Gel a little bit on the left side. A little bit of spam could have really spelled doom for that medic there, but it was enough of a distraction perhaps to get that sentry down. And we'll see how well this goes. Fish is going to just jump in deep and get a nuke onto the combo together with some aggression from High as well. That's 2 players down, 3 actually for the side of Swift. 2 on the side of Virtus missing as well as the Uber exchange is underway. Players staring each other down, but it's certainly going to be a bit better for Swift at the end of the day here, right? Well, at least in terms of Uber, but not in terms of numbers, because they just couldn't get that aggression away from the point. Kuna comes in from the side, does a little bit of bombing on the point, and there you go. That's going to be the first round going away with Virtus.
Yeah, again, just huge. They got the sentry gun before they pushed in. They just made a bit of space. Huge bomb from Fishkoff and just followed up. They went aggressively across the point, took the trade, and they're happy to trade the Uber when it works out well for them, and got all the damage and all the frags they needed. Crucial frag onto Mac, and there we are, 1-0.
And just like that, we're back to mid-fight again. Another quick round in the books for tonight. Let's see if that pace continues as well. Mac, again, the first target to fall. Fishkoff's got that guy's number right now. He's just laying him into the respawn queue over and over again. They find Sneaky as well. Ams is overextended and not going to be able to escape, but at the very least, well, Swift are licking their wounds, but they've got an extra player to help them do it this time around, with Danny living at the very least as well, but they're already out to last again. There's nothing they can really do a whole second, and Virtus are so aggressive. They're already rearing to push last with nobody even capping second yet. They're just taking control of lobby, finally realizing, okay, it's not gonna happen. We're gonna have to pace ourselves ever so slightly. So they're gonna have to wait as Swift set themselves up for another last hold here that maybe will work, maybe won't. I guess it depends on how well they can keep their sentry alive this time around.
Yeah, Scar went in for something, was denied by the level 1 sentry gun. Sad times for him. Nearly worked out, got a decent jump in, got a decent surf, but ended up being denied. They're playing quite risky here, to be honest, a lot of the time. On VB's side, Kuna is kind of alone. When he, obviously when he's spamming that gun, he doesn't have that those stickies ready defensively, so if someone was able to push him, I think there's definitely a frag available, but pressure coming in through the flank while Kuna's peeking at the same time.
Yeah, and you've got Scar on the spy. That's what that pressure is for, just to get this guy in for free. And we're going to see another distraction. There's so much aggression on that right side here. They're just trying to get Scar in window to maybe get onto something, but he beefs his stabs and just barely escapes with his life for the time being. Now it's going to be onto what they can make off the back of Danny dying. Am's going down as well, actually is going to make things very tough for them here. Joe uses his Uber, perhaps a bit ambitiously? I don't really know why he... Like, maybe he was trying to chase something, but then he realized he doesn't have a scout, and now they're gonna have to deal with a full Uber on the side of VB, coming in, pushing all these players into spawn, taking care of everybody else that is not inside of spawn. How are Swift gonna hold this? It's gonna require a darn miracle, that's for sure. They have no heals either. Sneaky's trying his best to gun down as the Putas, and somehow they're pulling it off.
Yeah, the soldier spawn just came in and VB did not put themselves in a good position. They wanted to back out, they wanted to recycle, but they ended up just putting themselves on the logo and they just all got nuked by the incoming soldiers. And that is a huge, huge throw. That was a golden opportunity for VB, presented to them by Joe taking a very questionable Uber, but they aren't able to take the gift given to them, and now they're going to have to... I mean, they have a second attempt of it. Joe did survive. He does still have an Uber advantage, so we are going to be on to a repeat, perhaps.
Oh, they're going to still have an opportunity to do it. Pandemic's up on the sniper as well, trying to maybe get a sneaky shot up, but he won't be able to as the Uber has come in for VB. They're trying to clear stickies off the point. The best way to do that is to just have Fishcup kill Mac again. That's what he does best, and there you go. That's all it took to get the cap time they needed and finish it off, make it 2-0 for Virtus, Brah. I'm telling you, man, there's some... Fishcup has, like, Mac hatred right now. He's got, like, anger in his eyes whenever he sees that guy walking in front of him. He's the only one killing him all the time.
We're 6 minutes into the game, we're 2 rounds into the game, Mac has a single point on the scoreboard.
Oh my god. Poor guy. I'm sure he'll recover from this mentally eventually. He'll find his way into this match. For now, we're gonna have to look at another mid-fight, and I already see a soldier bombing the combo, so I'm scared. Okay, well, at least this time... No, they find Mac anyway. It's High that gets the kill this time around. But at least they protected themselves from both of the soldiers. And they managed to take care of High as well. Even if Swift are out of position for now, they will have the re-aggression, they will have the numbers to just push back these remaining players, even if AMS feeds into a little sticky trap. For once, Swift have won a mid. At least somewhat. It worked out for them. Now they're going to be able to maybe take this a second if they so desire as well, because Virtus are certainly going to be waiting for their respawners as well, so yeah, there's an opportunity here if Swift want to, well, make some Swift moves and try and take this in. Danny's going to be the one to try and do that. Unfortunately, just gets shut down by Kuna, but did get a bit of damage onto some players there, while Fishcup goes in for the counter sack as well, doesn't get anything either. But that's just the soldier gameplay you see every once in a while, as they try to throw something at the wall and see what sticks.
A nice attempt at a counter-sack, but also a nice dodge from Joe, just putting a wall between him and the incoming soldier. They've rotated through flowers, but they've all eaten a ton of damage. Kuna shutting them down super hard. There is a health back, there is arrows ready for them. Olga is taking a fight on the flank. He once more, actually, is not the most loaded, but he runs in. Does go down to Mac, but a lot of space has been created for VB here.
And because Mac was so low and Joe wasn't healing him, Fishcup manages to slip in another kill onto Mac once more before Joe gets forced off, trying to keep himself and his scout alive. And, well, the Ubers did get traded in the end, basically, but still, it certainly could have been better for Swift. Scar almost gets away with it as well, just barely doesn't get the kills he wants, but man, that could have been dangerous. Alright, Swift, it looks like Swift have stabilized. It looks like they have... They have managed to, at least.
Both of the scouts were so unaware of where Scar was. He really should have killed Joe there, but Joe does escape with his life. They are pushing in towards last. There's cap time applied by AMS. He might catch Joe. Oh, he chuckles him in the spawn door, but there's no follow-up. Everyone else is back, so they do throw 2 away for it, and maybe we'll see some VB counter-aggression.
Oh yeah, they're already seeing it. High running in deep, getting a little bit of damage onto Mac. Just trying to spread out those heals ever so slightly, making sure that this positioning is given up by Swift, and, well, for the time being, they at least did an okay job of it. They're going to trade out Olga for Pandemic. There's a lot of aggression out of Sneaky and AMS here as well. Mac is coming across with some damage, and they're just going to force Gel to try and keep Scar alive here, maybe make something happen with this Uber, but they're not going to be able to get anything done with it whatsoever. Scar stays ahead just to see if he can maybe catch somebody off, but if he's not careful, he himself gets caught and just barely escapes the loss instead. But still, that's a full Uber now for Joe. Virtus just committing a little bit too much is going to come back to bite them, as Swift have the first prime opportunity now to actually finally push into last.
Yeah, that's the mistake. Just never push and you'll never be at disadvantage. But here we go. Uber in from right. The Pandemic goes down to, I think it was a body shot and sentry gun combination. Not what they would have wanted. Both soldiers are in. Danny is in towards Joe, but beautiful dodges from Joe there. They try and descend on the players, trying to leave lower. Joe and Ams are both very, very low, but it's definitely going to be a fail push. And I'd say a reset, but maybe 4v4 they would have utilised this advantage here on VB.
VB are certainly keen to take these pushes, so it would not surprise me. They are sending a lot of aggression out into second, but with respawners coming in, they're very quickly realizing that this might not be happening. That being said, Kuna jumps across point. They're just putting so much aggression onto the combo here, mainly just getting Joe out of there. And with their Uber ad in store as well, now they're just going to make sure that they get every Swift player out of here as best they can. But it doesn't matter because Danny's in behind and gets a lot of cap time at the very least. Pulls back a couple of players, manages to slow down the roll for VB, and just that little bit of distraction was enough for Swift to regain the upper hand.
Yeah, Sneaky runs in, takes out Joe. Too many players were running back for Danny, and there was not enough support for their medic. So once more, they tried to push out with a small, I guess it was Uber advantage this time. It was a couple of frags either way, and they end up stuck. Uber advantage now for Swift, and another attempt at a last push.
Yeah, they have another prime position. They just try not to get sniped by Olga, and, well, using early enough is certainly going to make sure that doesn't happen. But with that Uber, they actually have to accomplish something. They've accomplished nothing but get a bit of positioning. They find a sentry, but lose Pandemic and Danny now as well. So already 2 players down for the pushing team is not a great idea. Am's trying to chase Gel out into lobby somehow. I don't know how that happened, but he doesn't get the kill, which is the crucial thing he would have wanted and doesn't get. So for once more, Swift botched another last push, and now they find themselves on mid, waiting to get leapfrogged. Well, to be fair, the ad for Virtus is not that large, but still. They're gonna get a lot of aggression going their way anyway, because Virtus are a very, very aggressive team right now. They love being aggressive. They're gonna trade out Ams for Fish Cup for, well, having to probably back off more. There's just no positioning for Swift at all. They can't really do much whatsoever. They just have to give up mid. They do find a nice fadeaway little rocket there by Danny onto Olga. You love to see it, but at the end of the day, that's all they have to settle for.
I mean, that's a really nice frag there, because they'd been able to push that VB without the Uber wasn't even up. They essentially just pushed a 6v6 dry fight, but Joe now has the Uber. They now have Olga still in the respawn queue, so they're just going to muscle the way back in here. Swift going to take the space available from Scar. He's trying to put some resistance from up top, but he eats a lot of damage for it. Does get caught. Fishkoff out as well, so no soldiers, no threat onto either Joe or Mac, and you can see that Swift very, very keen to press the issue, press that 2-man advantage, moving in through Cafe here, but they've lost Pandemic.
Yeah, Pandemic kind of gets baited by his team a little bit as Mac and Joe decide to rotate back to choke, leave him alone when he's trying to push forward, and he gets caught. Danny trying to go for a sack gets caught as well. Ams gets in though and gets the force onto Gel. That's what they were really looking for there. They wanted that force out of Virtus Brah. They got exactly what they wanted. Now they just have to keep their own Uber alive and try to re-aggress here onto this midpoint, which is what they are doing. Unfortunately, they used a little bit too early, so they're only going to find Scar with it, and as the Uber is faded, they are now back at square one.
Yeah, slightly messy play from both teams, but it seems to have shaken out okay for VB. They've actually, Olga's run in, taken out Mac. Mac has been dying a lot so far this game. High is in as well, but I don't know if that's exactly what they would have wanted on VB. They got the Demo Man frag, but losing 2 players now. And there's a big bomb in from Kudu. He's nuking Joe. He hits one sticky, gets the frag.
Oh.
That's insane.
Oh,
onto
God.
Joe as well. He's so low, and there's just not enough support. The 2 scouts run in. They pick up Joe. They pick up Olga. It's very, very messy and huge play from Kuna, but it really sells out his team because there was no denial on the choke point.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way any human being could keep track of this match. You have to feed this into like an AI algorithm to try and make sense of what the hell just happened, but somehow Swift come out on top of it. They are in control of second for the time being. They're gonna re-aggress, just try and take some ground as well as Virtus. We're just trying to maybe prod their way in, but it's not gonna happen, and we're finding ourselves in a similar situation. Swift are trying to push last. They have a completely inconsequential ad, but still something to maybe use. They take care of the sentry, take care of Olga. They lose Sneaky on the other side, though, so Still not all that, but if they can manage to muscle their way into just a little bit of space here for this last point, they are going to be in a nice position, giving Danny a little bit of space to try and get onto the combo, for instance. Nice, ambitious play. Ams is going to try the same, but everybody's just chilling in spawn. Mainly Gel, that's the target they're looking for. But hey, at the very least they're going to have their own Uber, and as long as they keep Joe safe here, they have an opportunity to try and take this back to VB as well, who are already trying to just press the issue here on second, and, well, they're doing a pretty good job at it, just denying the Swift players. It's gonna probably boil down to an Uber if it has to. Well, Mac finding a frag on the Scar, actually. Cutting off Gel as well. Beautifully placed stickies in the shutter. Nobody was looking behind themselves. Not ready for that. Mac, absolutely the perfect place, the perfect time. And the Uber comes out, even if it's a bit of a force for Joe here. As long as they get onto this last point, it is a beautiful round for Swift. And there you go. They bring it back 2-1.
Yeah, unfortunately for VB, third time in a row they're pushing out to second with, you know, a very kind of minor advantage. They got the 2 picks, but Mac was up. Mac was ready to put the stickies up. I think he got a frag on the point and then shut down the shutter as well. And VB once more punished for pushing out from second. This time much, much more severely. End up losing the round for it.
Yeah, maybe I'm starting to realize why they're shutting down Max so much, because if they fail to shut him down, like they did just now, Scar curb stomping him once more. If they fail to shut down Mac, that guy just goes off. He destroys the entirety of Virtus here, so maybe there's a reason why there's so much target focus on that guy right now. As it stands, unfortunately, it worked for VB, because Swift are losing a mid-fight once more. And Pandemic, stayed in a little bit longer. It's not like it was going to escape, so that's all she wrote. But Joe crucially did escape with his life, and he's going to be, well, trying to build back up that slight dissent they have now, but it's probably not going to be much for VB to work with either, unless they move insanely fast. So, yeah, it's just going to be on Swift holding. That's what it boils down to once more.
Yeah, not ideal scenario for Swift, though. It's been, again, a reasonably fast-paced back-and-forth game. They're only a round down. There's still 13.5 minutes to work with, so they're not the end of the world for Swift, but don't want to be stuck on your own last in this situation, already a round down. They are able to get a frag onto Olga, but we'll see if Swift are as brave as VB, or arguably as foolish as VB, and if they'll attempt to push out of it. Probably not off a single pick.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be the more passive team in general, so I would be surprised. Taking up a little frag onto Scar is certainly going to open things up a little bit, at least in lobby. Mac trying to be a bit aggressive here, maybe seeing if he can get some space, and Ams is going to bomb in and see if he can get some frags. Gets a little bit of damage onto Gel, nothing to get a force out of just yet. And Scar seems to have decided, no, he was thinking about off-classing, but he's decided he won't for the time being. He's just going to switch his loadout around a little bit. Maybe he went to Banner? Oh, Mantrids. He went to Mantrids. Interesting. So he's just going to go full on, trying to sneak his way into this last with an insane bomb. Well, it's certainly an ambitious play. We'll see how it works out for VB. They have to make the play here if they want to push in. Again, they're up around. They can also just slow it down, but I suppose we'll see how well this works for VB. Scar is trying to jump his way in. Man's on top of Joe. Man's to get the force. That's textbook. Absolute textbook. That's exactly what you want to see. It worked out flawlessly. People were calling him insane, but it worked. And there you go. That's going to be very bad now for Swift. They try to commit something to go outside, but it's not going to happen. Danny pays with his life. They managed to get the force out of Gel at the very least before they managed to get much ground on Lhasa the side of VB, but is it going to be enough to really deny them for long? I mean, I guess it was. They're going to have to go this dry if they want to take any sort of ground. There are still 2 players down. No soldiers for the side of Swift are going to make this hold a lot tougher for them. They do have sneak up on the heavy as well now. There's a bit of cap time already. Nobody's really trying to block the point. Finally, somebody does, but it's only Pandemic, and he gets nuked down, and there you go. 3-1 now for the side of Virtus Brah with 11 minutes left. Anything still goes for Swift, but they really have to start picking up the pace if they want to bring back some rounds here.
Yeah, they're probably going to have to win this next mid-fight, but yeah, beautiful stuff from VB, just utilising that unlock, the Mantrids, the reduced knockback, getting the force. Didn't have the best Uber in the world at the end of the day, but got the 2 picks and were able to make it work.
Oh god, Mac is already getting bullied on the next mid fight. I feel so bad for him, but maybe, just maybe, for once he will stay alive and make the difference here. Scar tried to go for the bomb, couldn't quite do it. They trade out Danny on the other side. Fishcup gets taken care of as well, so it is looking okay for Swift so far. And with Virtus losing Olga there as well, they have decided to just hightail out of there. And there you go. The difference was Mac staying alive on a mid fight. That was the difference maker. He managed to live for once.
Sure,
and
that's
Swift wins. That might have been the first mid he didn't die on, actually. It's true. Oh boy. Well, they're going to try to get into last here. They have a bit of an ad as well. Olga's up on Sniper. Trying to be cheeky, perhaps, seeing if he can snipe somebody off. And there's already so much aggression into last. Ams is in deep. Pandemic just runs down Olga, making sure that Sniper is off the table here for the side of VB. And just a bit of aggression maybe to stunt that defense building, because at the end of the day, they did find Gel, which is going to be quite crucial for, well, for Swift to do anything here. Surely a full Uber push. They cannot possibly botch that one, right?
Well, the last few they've struggled with. It's a slightly unconventional hold from the VB side. They've just got this sniper pretty much watching the top right area. And we've seen Swift try and walk in the top right, get forced by the sniper, and get no purchase on the left. But this time, surely they're aware of that hold, and they're going to move in from left.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're just taking themselves in deep. That sentry is going to try to deny a little bit, but it will be taken care of immediately. Now they got to get that cap time going, though, and they are finding a couple of frags. Straight out a couple of scouts. There goes Scar as well. The frags aren't falling in the favor of Swift ever so slightly, but they are losing Mac crucially. That's going to make capping the point so much harder with Kuna still on the board as well. Pandemic tries to run in. Does not get arrowed the way he would have wanted to from Joe, and now Joe is in a very poor position to try and stay alive, which he doesn't.
Yeah,
and once more, Swift have botched a full Uber push.
It's just a really good hold, to be honest, from VB. They had exactly the same setup, but the crucial thing is this time they're aware that the Uber was going to come in from the right from their perspective, and they just shuffled everyone, rotated everyone over to that vacant left side that was being held down by the sniper, and just couldn't get enough frags for Swift.
Very unfortunate, Swift bros, and with 8 minutes left, it's starting to look a bit dire for Swift. They have not found the momentum they want to. Now with Joe hitting an absolutely beautiful serve away from danger, they're going to be able to at least get him out of danger, out of harm's way for the time being, as the Uber comes in from VB as well, but they have to give up so much ground. They might even have to give up second if they're not careful here. If they don't find the frags or lose too many players, Sneaky going down certainly makes that more difficult. Only just now getting their soldiers spawning as well means they basically have to give up second here for the time being, which is not something you want to see if you're trying to pick up 2 rounds in the next 8 minutes. And it just slows you down ever so slightly more. Olga gets picked up in the backlines. Hai is just on the point fighting Ams, manages to win that national duel for the time being. Kuna, in the meantime, dies to Danny, though. And with Hai still in behind as a little scoundrel, ain't no way he gets away with this. No way! Okay, he gets the force, at the very least, but come on. You can't let him get away with that.
Yeah, I didn't see him for the longest time. Gets the force and not the drop, crucially. Joe popping at the right time, milking just about enough to try and keep it in the game, but as I say, popping important time. Does give Gel back an Uber advantage. They're going to cap out mid, but we are in a leapfrog situation. VB, I assume, are going to be back in quite fast, so already up to 95%.
Yeah, it's going to be so tough for Swift here. They have to find a response to that. Ams with a huge bomb in, manages to get the force out of Gel. As good as it gets in this situation. Committing a player for it, managing to trade out Fishcup on the other side for Danny as well. Maybe a bit ambitious, trying to send 2 soldiers 2 ways, seeing if they can catch anything, but still, getting that force is going to keep them in this game. They need it in order to have a chance to re-aggress here. They're going to have a big Uber ad to work with as well. They're probably going to wait for Danny and then re-aggress immediately into this mid, and they have to just keep that rolling forward. This bus cannot stop. They have to finally start winning these fights. They have to find these Virtus frags as best as they can. I mean, if they can get mid for free, that's even better, obviously, but yeah, they are gonna have to struggle for it here.
First kind of step back we've seen from Virtus, and now they're just going to pop in through the choke. They're going to launch Mac into the shutter, get some damage down on Gel. Does get caught by the Uber, but end up not getting any frags for it. Danny is going to get caught over chasing as well. Gel is back up at 90%, looking to cap second before the repush comes in. Olga peeking in, gets shut down a little bit by Ams, The cap does come in from Swift, and Sneaky's looking for a back cap.
That's what he does best. Unfortunately, he gets cut off by Fishkopf, and, well, Ams is going to try to take his space instead, but there are 4 players coming back for him. They're not going to let that one slide at all. It happened too many times on Gully. They will not let it happen again. They're going to retake second immediately as well, and, well, try to press the issue a little bit here against Swift. Swift can't really do much. There's 2 players. They have a bit of an Uber ad, but they have to just give up the ground once more. And this tug of war, every minute wasted with this tug of war is just good for Virtus. They have a 2-round cushion now, and every minute they waste is so bad for Swift here. They need to find a way back into Swift. Scar trades out for Danny on the flank, as Fishkopf tries to somehow make something happen with whatever little health he has left, but he's just going to crater as well. And Mac is just trying to solo the entire rest of the team and somehow winning. Just exhuming so much energy there, so much Chad energy, managing to push back the entirety of Virtus. And hey, look at that, the teams are even Ubers.
Yeah, even Ubers. Fishkopf got the forward spawn as well, so not a bad scenario at all for Virtus. Kuna's jumping himself in, dry up onto the bell tower. This is crazy stuff we're seeing. And they get the force out for it.
They didn't see him either. They don't know he's up there. They have no idea. He's not going to get much done, unfortunately, but just him being up there is such a power move. That is incredible. Danny's still in behind, maybe trying to see if he can be a bit cheeky. And there's a bit of aggression coming in by Ams. He manages to get the force out of Gel, so there you go. That is going to keep Swift in this game, but again, they're... What in the world?
He was launched so high.
Well,
they have
ambitious.
3 frags. They have the mid cap. They're looking to move. Scar's probably going to get caught here on second. The Scout's ready to trade out potentially. Sneaky's caught on low ground. Pretty low on health until the beam comes for him. But no, looks like VB. I mean, there's 4 minutes left. I think they can settle for mid control. Uber advantage for Joe, but that's about all that's working in Swift's favor.
Yeah, they have to find a way into this. They are struggling so much, even with Uber ads, even with everything. They just can't find the frags they want. Virtus are doing so much of a better job spreading out, kiting those Ubers if they come in, and just winning the fights when they need to. Now with Fishkopf going for a backup as well, immediately pulling back Danny, who's gonna have to be out of the fight. And there's High to back him up as well, so this is just a lost battle for him as the Uber advantage is completely lost. They've wasted even more time. High manages to kill Danny as well, and, well, he's taking a 1v1 with Sneaky and almost wins, which is scary if you're Sneaky, while Ams dies trying to force. Okay, actually, Gel did force, okay, fair enough.
This game must be so frustrating for Ams. I think he's forced Gel about 5 times in the last 5 minutes. It's been insane, but the rest of his team has not been working out. Joe gets launched in the air as well, milks it, goes down to 40 health, but does keep the Uber alive, does keep the Dream alive for Swift. They're going to have to make the most of this 1 pick and this Uber advantage. They move into second, and they need a round soon.
This is where Swift seem to work best, is the crunch time. They are in absolute crunch now. They have everything working for them. They just have to move as fast as they possibly can. Second being capped. Get ready to push last. Everybody buffed. Everybody waiting for that Uber to come in. They know they have to make this one work, otherwise they are screwed. Max finding the sentries whenever they're getting built. Ams gets in deep, manages to get the force out of Gel as well, so that is so crucial here. They have the own Uber to respond without inside of Swift, even if they have to use early. They're going to get so much ground with it. Find Kuna, find Scar. They're going to get a bunch of cap time as well. Nobody there to even block it. There you go. This is what you need to see. 2 rounds for Swift on the board now. 1 left to go. 2 minutes left to go to make that happen. It is absolutely possible to take the still golden cap, but they have to play out of their minds.
Oh my god, are they going to be the clutch kings against Swift? They've had their backs against the wall the whole of this game, most of the first map as well. Took the first map, but surely they can't come back in this one.
They somehow wake up in the last moments of every match. Even if it takes them a while to warm up for a map, they always come back at the end of it. So we'll see if that is actually going to be the storyline for tonight, or if they're going to have to settle for each team taking a map, and that's how it goes, as this mid-fight is quite drawn out. Neither team really wishing to commit too much here, but Virtus know if they give Swift too much ground here, if they give them too much room, too much wiggle room, they could very well find themselves in a bad situation, and so far they've only traded a soldier on either side, but the position is so much better for Virtus now. They've managed to slip in Danny, but he's already, well, They're aware of him, much rather. He's lost his surprise factor, and the Uber gets forced out of Joe. Perhaps trying to be ambitious, perhaps trying to get the exchange going, but they're just gonna have to hightail out of there. And Pandemic might even get caught, or Joe for that matter, if they're not careful. Never mind, Mac just traps everybody. Okay, all right. They baited him. It was a huge bait play, and it worked.
That was massive from Mac. That turns the game so much in their favour. Now they only have 45 seconds to work with, but they crucially have an Uber advantage. Fishkoff is hiding. They're going to walk straight past him. Oh, he gets the frag onto Mac. He will go down though. They still keep Joe alive. He's down to 39 health. There's no pack for him as well. Awkward situation. Doesn't have the Uber to pop either. They're getting shut down in the cafe area. Can they bust or not? I don't know. It's risky, but they kind of have to go. They only have 20 seconds.
They have to go. There's no choice for Swift. They have to hold W if they want to have any chance of taking this to a golden cap. I know there's a lot of screaming going on in that mumble right now, but there is absolutely no shot they actually get this round, right? The Ubers are in play. But there's so much cap time on the point. Can they actually get it? No, they're getting nuked down. Everybody's dying on the point. It's Scar and High just taking care of everybody, and they couldn't get there in time. Just barely not getting it done. So it's going to be Virtus winning Sunshine, but it was close until the bitter, bitter end. And matter of fact, it was close on both maps. Wow!
Wow. I mean, there was criticism last week about the wrong game being on TF2L. We ended up missing one. A good game last week, but I think tonight we can't have any qualms. That was excellent stuff. Ends up 3-3 share of the points for both teams, but about as close as possible, and certainly not the cleanest TF2 in the world, but hella entertaining.
Yeah, like, who cares if it's clean if the teams were nicely matched and played some entertaining game. At the end of the day, who's really gonna win, the players or the fans? That's what we really need to weigh our options on sometimes. So that's always something to look forward to. But yeah, wow. Keeping it close. These teams showing once more that maybe there really is a lot of credibility to the idea that this is going to be one of the closest Prem seasons we've ever had.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
certainly seems to be a lot of evenly matched teams, a lot of teams that can mix it up and create chaos, I guess, as we saw during this game. But I guess we could move over to log, and I would say this is a textbook example of why logs aren't necessarily the most meaningful thing in the world, because at the end of the day, VB won it, but AMS has like the worst stat line imaginable, 11 for 31. But as
just
I
for
said,
this map, we've got the combined logs on screen as well. Yeah, we've got the combined ones for both maps. He's 25 and 52 over the whole match, over both maps. So yeah, he's been doing a lot of space making, and he might have beaten Bud to most deaths in an official.
It's pretty crazy, but the thing was, I think he got something like 5 or 6 forces in that last 10-minute period, and obviously forces don't show on the logs, but he was crucial in terms of keeping Swift in that second game. So I just want to shout him out because his stat line doesn't reflect how impactful he was.
He did a lot of work. Pandemic also fragging out of his mind for Swift there as well. Just an insane cleanup, staying alive a lot, doing a lot of fragging. Like they were no slouch. It's just that it felt like Virtus were just in way better control for especially Sunshine. Like on Gullywash, it was back and forth. It was so and so. The rounds were all quick. Sunshine, Virtus were looking very dominant overall. Like they were in control for most of that, and honestly, like they could have gone either way. If there was an extra minute or two in that map, Swift could have taken it back, but they just took a minute or two too long to find their mojo and get that going. And VB being in control for that long just won them Sunshine in the end. I think that's what it boils down to. They had the control of the map for long enough, controlled the pace of the game, and that's what it took.
Yeah, a lot of control of the early mid fights as well. Mac was having a real struggle on those, and they're able to punish the back of that. 4 mid-fight, the 4 shortest round were mid-fight wins for VB, and even when Swift were able to win mid-fights, those were the longer rounds. Struggled for a few last pushes, definitely some stuff to work on there, but I have to shout out that VB's last holds were very, very solid.
They did a
on
great
this map,
job.
not so much on Gullywash.
Yeah, on Sunshine, on Gully they were struggling, to say the least. They lost like 3 rounds to just having sneaky walk through water and just stand on the point, unfortunately. So yeah, a bit to work on Gully for VB, but Sunshine looked solid as hell. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if there's nothing else you want to mention about this match, I suppose we are done for today. And we'll have to just tell people to tune in next time, whenever that match may be, whatever that may be, probably just next week, as far as I'm aware. But I guess things always change, scheduling and all that stuff.
There's Nations Cup action on Critscast if you want at the weekend, if you're hankering for some Highlander, or you just want to cheer on your country or laugh at your neighbours losing. That could also be a good motive, but check that over on Critscast starting Saturday. I think it's 19 CST.
Well, there you go. That's going to be it from us then. And yeah, be sure to tune in next time. Cheers to the players for a nice match. Cheers to everybody watching, and good night from us.
Good night.